always a little bit awkward starting these, so I'll address it to whoever's out there that's watching it. I'm here with Riley, a good friend of mine and an awesome client that made quite a pivot in your life as you launched this business, right? I think we caught you at the start, but anyway, just if you would introduce yourself, man, that would be awesome.
Yeah, quite a pivot. Yeah, Vince is amazing for anyone watching, listening. And yeah, caught me at a bit of a pivot. In a nutshell, I have been in the coaching and consulting space for nearly a decade. So not my first rodeo, to be fair. Started off doing mental performance consulting, have a background in sports psychology, stumbled into operations consulting. So I've been in startups, worked with authors, speakers, all sorts of different industries. I actually left a COO position earlier this year at the time of this recording, 2023. And that was one of my clients in the operations space in a startup. And so I was thinking about what are my next steps here, because that was the second business that I had started, kind of stumbled into, and I wasn't really sure what my next steps would be. So yeah, I kind of took a step back, thought about what I really want to be focusing on, and kind of jumped into the back into the coaching consulting space, helping those kinds of people like myself.
Mhm.
Um, Ran a pilot program and then got a bunch of feedback that told me that I should revamp that. And there's so it kind of long story short pulled me in a different direction, and that is when I found EasyGrow. um, Completely just stumbled across it. I had never heard of you guys before. Um, and yeah, hopped on a call and decided to make the investment. And I'm still in the program. There's, like I was saying just before we hit record here, there's just so much content and value in the program that I'm just like, all right, let me get this bit, implement it. Let me come back, get a little bit more, implement it. So it's kind of it's ongoing, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's in a nutshell where I was at, who I am, where I am now.
Yeah, beautiful, man. And on that, I always say on sales calls that the program isn't like a book. It's not meant to be read from start to finish. It's more like a dictionary, right? Okay, I need help with appointments. Then you go into that section, you extract that element. I think anyone will go mad trying to say the entire thing. Anyway, um, so you made this decision, right? You left the COO position, you started that coaching offer. And when you said that you had the feedback that it was to revamp it. I'm assuming that there was like some issues that you needed to fix with the actual like product or service itself. Or
Yeah, there's a couple things. I mean, one was I was kind of on the fence between a low ticket offer versus high ticket offer.
Mhm.
Um, I, I guess I technically had done both in the past without really realizing it, but I had this idea in my head that I was gonna I don't know if anyone knows the Justin Welsh Dan Co. I don't know, like the build an online course and just feed traffic to it, and then hands off, no fulfillment. That was kind of where my head was at. But all the feedback I got was actually, Riley, like, content's great, but like, tweak this, add that, whatever, basic stuff. All the things that people really valued were you know coaching time with me, accountability, implementation, execution, like high touch, high ticket type stuff. And so that's when I got on a call with it was Jeff, I believe, from EasyGrow. And I remember him specifically saying, like, once you get through X, Y, Z modules, he's like, you won't be on the fence anymore. uh, which pulled me into, and then just kind of aligned with, here's all the extra, uh, just whether it was skills that I was missing or skills that I already knew, but I hadn't ever implemented in this particular, like, applied in this specific way. Um, that was sort of the pivot, was to go all in on reinvesting in myself, my own education, the structure, the programming, like, just kind of like polishing the, like, diamond in the rough, I guess, for lack of a better word, because I knew I had the skills. And that was sort of the tricky point for me. Was, I think I also realized, you guys helped me realize, that for a long time I'd been letting my own ego get in my own way, because I was always trying to figure shit out on my own. Um, but then when I realized that actually I have the confidence in my abilities, but I don't like, I need to invest in myself in order to acquire the additional skills to build up my belief, you know, and then so on, things that you know about how sales works, things like that. Not only so that I could use for myself, but that I could also teach some of these same things to my own clients. So it was kind of a win-win for me, thinking that, you know, this little pivot, not only is it better for myself, there's more clarity involved. My clients literally call me the clarity coach. So it's just kind of full circle, for me to be able to build up myself, but then at the same time build up my own clients. And it in a way almost makes me think of, if you've heard like the rising tide
Hmm.
analogy. It's like we're all kind of helping each other in a way.
Man, like it always struck me that you have this balance between humility and confidence, where we talked about this before when we had a chat. There's some people that go full arrogance and ego, and they have that fake confidence. And then there's some people that don't have any belief in themselves. And you sit somewhere really right in the middle. It's why it's been so productive, right? Because you recognize where your flaws are, but you have enough self-esteem, confidence, if you want to call it, to actually run with it when you're given the right things, right? It's always struck me as something really productive, and I think the best people always tend to do that. But anyway, enough about my rambles. Where would you say you were at in terms of when you joined us? If we were to like call it pain points, right? Like what got you to like seek out help? What were those things?
Um, that's a great question. I think the biggest thing for me was the uncertainty. Um, Kind of about the things I just said. Like I was on the fence about which direction should I go in. And I knew that whichever direction I did go in, I wanted to really make sure that I ironed down the skills, again, not just for myself, but because I'm a coach myself, building a program for other people. I want to make sure that I can make that as what's the word, like tangible, like as easy as possible for other people to follow.
Hmm.
Um, so so yeah, I guess I was seeking certainty, clarity myself. Um, Also, I think I had the stress. If I'm honest, I think there's the like the financial piece. I've always been like I was born into like a scarcity mindset, and you know didn't come from money. Worked my way through school, all that. Built myself. I mean, I literally. This is the balance, right? Of like I don't say this to be arrogant, but I did feel like I built myself up from broke college kid to startup COO. So I knew I had a skill set. I think that's an important point for anyone is like you have to have the skill set. And the cool thing about EasyGrow is um, it helps you to build that skill set. So the fact that I knew I already had one just gave me even more belief, which is one of the other things that I realized I was missing. Uh, that even more belief that I could actually make it happen. And by make it happen, I mean like kind of crack into that next level because I'd had some success before, but I never got to, whether you want to call it a dollar amount or like a type of client or whatever it is. It was kind of always like I hit this, at least in my head, the ceiling that what I would call a ceiling. And I think one of the big lessons, if I can answer it in this way to wrap up, was I love this analogy. It's from Alex Hormozy, but it just makes so much sense in my head of this kind of ladder of where you can only go as high as the lowest rung on the ladder. And there's one component is character traits, another is skills, and then the third is beliefs. And I was like, well, I've been in business long enough. I've got the traits. My clients tell me I have the skills. So I think I have them, but I'm not 100% sure. And I said, shit, does that mean that I'm just lacking belief? And so for me, this opportunity was really to build up my own belief so that I can help. And really, I've become, and I see this with my clients all the time, a belief builder. Like I am a well for my clients to build their belief up. And it's just like, it is nuts. And I'll stop the rambles here, but like, it's nuts how much mindset and belief and those kinds of things, which is, you know, addressed in the program, uh, how much those things shape your success and your service and your fulfillment and you know your business as a whole.
Let's explore that a bit more, man, because I don't want to say vague, um, but I think it's important like we define it because it means a lot for a lot of people, right? Mindset, belief. Some people just downright shy away from it. When you say it changed your belief, was that in you making an investment into yourself, or was it something that just came directly from the program?
I mean, I'd really say all the above, which probably doesn't add to, help with the vagueness thing, but I'll break down each piece because like belief in myself, honestly, up to that point, and even this year. So I think it was maybe like 5, 6 months prior to EasyGrow, I made like a couple investments, like $100 here, couple $100 there. Um, and even like the year prior, like, I mean, you mentioned self-esteem, but like, that's another thing is like having the right balance of, well, you call it humility and confidence, but like, I remember a couple of years ago, I struggled to like invest 25 pounds or euros, whatever it was, into myself. I was like, I was like, I'd rather just give it to like my team or, my client, like I'd rather pay it forward. Almost as if I didn't believe that I was worth it.
Mm,
So I think investing in myself, it's kind of putting your money where your mouth is, because if you really want to make something happen, you have to believe that you are capable of making it happen. So if you're not willing to invest in it, then deep down, it kind of means that you don't believe that you are capable of making it happen,
mm,
which is a really either enlightening moment or a really painful moment or both. And so I think for me, it was a little bit of both. But that's why I decided to push forward. And then inside the program, I continue to build up my belief by just shaping the way like certain things are framed. I know Charlie talks a lot about paradigm shifts and like the lens in which you see the. I mean, and again, like the craziest part for me is like I might gloss over some of this stuff because I literally have a master's degree in like mental performance, sports psychology. So for me, it was like almost as if I already had so many of these skill sets. I just never thought about applying them in this particular context or in this way. And so like I know a lot of like the calls that you lead in the program, like sales calls, that comes up quite a bit of just like I guess the human aspect. And that's what belief and mindset, those kinds of things mean to me, which is like if you look at, I don't know, someone who's making $1 million a year versus someone who's making, you know, 10K a month or 5K a month, like are they really that different humans? Like it's probably more so like their actions maybe, but they have the same amount of time. So what's the big difference? And usually it's between the ears. It's like that's the big
mm.
difference.
Love that. Yeah, man, it's always been a joy looking at your sales calls as well because I got to see that progression, right? And every time you're going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and I've missed you, man.
I've got
Honestly,
more. I've got more.
you've been, like, you've been working, but I better see them when I come back from holiday. So, like, we kind of explained or explored the like initial conditions. How do you feel now? What does life look like? What's been your biggest month in business?
Yeah, well, as I was saying when we first got on the call, I actually, ironically enough, I still feel like I've got so much more to go, which is like the truth is it's like part of it's kind of stressful, but then part of it's like if I really like pay attention to it, it's actually more exciting than anything else because, and this is just my own like I need to like give myself some gratitude. Because yeah, I can share real numbers. I mean, so the beginning of the year, it's a bit different. I had like a contract set up, so I had almost more of like a salary. But when I left that position, I was starting a new business. I like piloted a program. I made like 4 or 5K. I had like another kind of part. Like I had some inconsistent things. That was really like literally the start. Like I was just starting. So you guys got me a couple months into that. So I think if I average that out, I was at like I don't know, maybe 3K a month is probably like the average. And I think the best month I'd ever had in business in like my 8 years was probably more like 8K, something like that. So that's like the total range. And then I took a couple months to really I started the program like a book, and then I realized the dictionary approach works much better. So that's when I made that change. And when I built my new program, I launched at I'll just say total revenue versus cash collected. I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but total revenue sales. Um, I launched at 12K. I think I had 12, 9, 9. And then I just cleared 15 for the first time last month. So I mean, I'm on pace for like all of those were like best months, and 15, I've never had a 15K month before. Not to mention I had some other, pre-existing work that I was still able to fit in. So it's pretty nuts to think like how much of a gap that really is.
Mm,
And I think what's even crazier to me is like I used to think, yeah, like 15, 20K is like, I wouldn't call it a ceiling, but that was just my initial goal. And it still is. I guess I haven't hit the 20 yet, but I just I just know for a fact that where I'm at, I'm fully capable of pushing that to 20, 30, 40. And honestly, from there, it kind of just depends on life choices. Like, do I want to keep scaling it, or do I want to like just start buying back more of my time? Because that becomes a personal choice thing. But that's it's a cool feeling to know that it's just a matter of time. I think you mentioned earlier before we hit record, like the word patience, and that's kind of what it comes down to for me is like, um, yeah, how hard or fast do I want to push versus
mm.
yeah, it's kind of I guess it's empowering. Think about it. It's probably the best word for it.
And man, earlier I said I called out the patience thing because I recognize it in myself. I just want things so bloody quickly. I'm never
Yeah.
happy. I'm never happy, you know?
Yeah.
No, that's the wrong word. I'm a very happy person, but like that being disgruntled, right? Where you want things faster. Like you feel like you can, you're like, I could, right? And then that keeps me up at night sometimes. And I feel like most successful people have that, right? Where
Yeah,
it's
that's
like they're
it's like the
yeah.
I think there's an old like proverb or something. It said like a content man is but a fool or something like that.
Maybe like there's this region in the north of Brazil where everybody is they don't do very much. They're known for being pretty lazy, right? It's very hot up there, so they're relaxing, they're chilling on hammocks, they're going to the beach. Happiest people on earth, right?
Yeah.
Everything goes. But man, I don't want to go down a tangent. Like, how do you feel now? Like, aside from like that feeling where you want more, right? To scale to more, how would you say you feel now compared to when you joined us right there?
So like comparing the feeling now versus when I joined, is that the question?
Yeah, basically, like, you started off where maybe you average out like 3K a month. Now you've had months where you hit 12, 15. Like, how would you say you feel as a result from going through that radical growth, really?
Yeah, it's funny. I wish it's probably good to take more time to reflect on this because that is a it's a deep question. I think overall, like I think the word empowered comes to mind. Um, and if I'm honest, it kind of goes back to that satisfaction or content or whatever you want to call it feeling because honestly, for me, I don't know how much I'd be curious how many other people feel this way. It almost like reignites the fire or like the drive. Um, because yeah, I mean, like when you're starting something, like starting anything, like that's always the hardest part. And it can be really uh unsettling. There's uncertainty. It's a grind. And I don't want to say that I'm not still grinding, but it's just like I I have some clear inputs and outputs, so there's more clarity and some things I've said earlier, but I think the only thing I haven't really added is that feeling of yeah, it's hard to almost to put it into words. It's like just yeah, that the ambition and just the ability. It's almost like well, for me, I think of locus of control, which is like a psychology term, but it kind of brings the idea of like autonomy and the fact that like if I wanted to X, I kind of know what to do. And if there was anything I was unclear about, I know that I have access to EasyGrow and I can go dig out the like you said dictionary. It's like all right, well, how about this word? And I could just go look it up. So I think knowing that like there's people in your corner, people like yourself who've like had the experience, and there's a whole host of different coaching calls that I haven't even dipped into and explored yet. Like there's a couple with Jack that I've gone on, and mostly the sales audits, things like that. And um, I think it's just it is gratifying, which I know that I'm kind of almost contradicting myself, but it's gratifying to to know that you have that capability to be able to I guess just to achieve like what you actually want, like what you want to do. And for me, it's always come like there's the impact on me, but I think I don't know if anyone else, might be listening or watching this. Like for me, a big driver was the impact that I have on my clients. Because there's a lot of ways to make money, and you can do a lot of different things with your time. But for me, like that was the reason I came back to the space. Like people like myself who had struggled in the past, who had gone through, different ups and downs. And some of these things that I've learned in this program have both helped me with some of those same struggles, but then also I can, it empowers me to better, assist and help and provide a service for my clients. And that was really my North Star that kind of pushed me in this direction. Like I said, like the pivot that I made was based on feedback that I got from my clients. So really it's just like, well, I know there's a market. I know that this is what people want. And so I'm going to become the person who's capable of giving them what they want.
Mm. Charlie's mindset training right there.
Yep.
What do you think was the hardest thing that you went through the program? Most uncomfortable experience, something that kept you up at night.
Um, honestly, I think it was the sheer volume of content, like uh, the dictionary versus the book thing. And like, it's funny you use that analogy because I've always been someone who just like craves to finish the book, even if I like hate the book. So I probably got my own way, but I think eventually I realized I was like, you know what? Because you guys have a guarantee in place too, and I was like, I'm gonna cross every T, dot every I, and eventually I realized I was like, I'm I'm almost not serving myself. Like to me, it was almost like I was trying to do exactly, I was trying to just do everything. And that is overwhelming. And I think I got that pushed me to this point. I was like, all right, focus. And actually, I specifically remember a call, a founder's call with Charlie. And I'd gotten to the point, I'd implemented a few different things, blah, blah, blah. And I was about to launch my program. And I didn't want to build the whole thing out, like all the details of it, until I pre-sold some. And so I had a handful of people in pre-launch, had the whole outline. I already done a pilot before, but I had to like completely re-record, like I had to redo the whole thing. There's a lot of work involved. And in my head, I'm like, all right, I've got like a few weeks here. I can either keep pushing to sell more so that I can make more money, put more people in, etc., or I can just stop and give all my attention to like building out the rest of the product. And that was a huge crossroad for me. And I remember asking Charlie, who's like Mr. Appointment Setter, lead gen, like sales guy. And I remember asking him, and I remember he just kind of paused and thought about it for a second. Usually he's just like, fire away. He knows the answer before you finish the question. And he was like, well, if you're not hurting for cash, he totally surprised me. He was like, then product all the way. Like that's the way to go.
Huh.
And I took that advice and ran with it. And that's what got me to where I am now. And maybe I could have had a higher launch month. I don't know, but I spent like all of my waking hours for the rest of the month to finish this product in time for launch. And I'm really glad that I went in that direction because I need it all the time, and I'm still making improvements. Like that's the other thing is like, it's crazy. I don't even mean to be coming back to mindset, but like imposter syndrome, perfectionism, like those things are like nasty beasts that you gotta keep at bay. And yeah, I think all of us deal with it. But it's cool when someone else is also dealing with it and they've battled some of those things, the same demons, and they can kind of steer you in the right direction. Especially as a coach myself, like who helps other people with that. It's nice to have someone else do the same thing for you because even the helpers need help.
Yeah, always. I'd say that I'm surprised at Charlie, but then it makes sense, right? Why he counseled you like that. It's the same mindset with EasyGrow, right? It's product, product, product. And what those gentlemen have to essentially retire for life right now and just let us do all the work, they don't. They keep putting on work into the product, right? So it's really top down, right? It goes from them to the team to the clients and backwards and forwards. It's that same mindset. Um, I've got an interesting question right here. I think I know the answer already, to be honest, but what would you do differently if you could do the program again?
Uh, I would have started with the dictionary immediately,
Mm,
which is it's hard to, and I don't know, maybe there's still something that I even missed to this day, and you can educate me if I've still missed it. But I feel like knowing exact like I couldn't really even articulate where I was on my journey. Like I could give, as much context, but I think that's where having someone tell me and saying like, yeah, you like don't look at this, don't look at that, like just like here's the like where which words you need to look at in the dictionary first.
mm,
I think that's the only thing I could have said I would have done differently. Because I went through some things that like for example, I set up the email outreach system. It's all set up. I went through all the like it's and that takes it's a lot of detail to set
yeah.
that one up. And I actually didn't wind up even using it yet. It's just sitting there ready to use. But I can only focus on so many channels on my own because I also have tight, where I'm at in my life. I've got boundaries around like my work day, like, spending time with my wife, protecting weekends, things like that. So I'm pretty clear on those kinds of boundaries. And so I can only fit in so much into the hours that I allocate for work.
Mm,
And because of that, I think knowing which things are, yeah, to prioritize, I guess it kind of comes down to priorities is probably the piece that I don't know how I could have known that ahead of time, but if I did, that would have been the biggest change. And man, because I can't even imagine if I'd started all of those things like a month or 2 months or 3 months earlier, some of the things that I was doing like last month, the month before, etc. I don't, I'd be further than I am now, I bet, which is crazy to think, but that's, I don't know, that's probably my best answer to that.
yeah, I get that. Almost like a signposting thing. I mean, I always try and do this in sales calls at the end, onboard people, tell them exactly what they do, but sometimes it's a game of whack-a-mole when you hit something and something else unexpected comes up, right? Um, yeah, I feel like it's the masterful juggle in starting a business. So, um, last thing for you right here. I want to know what your next steps are, what you've got planned, and I'm hoping that you don't retire at 30, 40K a month because I need another interview from you at 70, 80, 100. So what are your next steps? That's a loaded question. There's a right answer.
um, Well, I'm still trying to just stay focused and take it one step at a time. So there's the discipline there. So my current steps, especially with like holiday season, holidays are a couple weeks away here till Christmas. I am I've just finally decided to onboard a couple VAs to help with some outreach and appointment setting. And really, I'm just trying to lock down that channel before I return my focus to my original channel, which is like organic. And then when that's ironed out, then I'll add another. Like it's really just one. Like it's not sexy at all. It's just like one step at a time. I'm just trying to add one channel, one channel. And yeah, and I think as much of a planner and strategy, like I mean, I used to do strategy for startups, and I still am doing strategy for startups. I still have some consulting clients on the side. I think for me, as much as I love doing that kind of work and I'm capable of it, I think the reality is you take one step, you make the decision, and then afterwards you reassess, and then you make the next decision. Like,
Mm.
so I'm only a couple steps ahead right now, like thinking about what those next steps are, and that's why I really can't commit to whether it's 30K a month or 80K a month or
Oh,
100K a
come
month. I've
on, come on.
no idea, but I think for me, if what I will say is, it kind of goes back to the reigniting that the I don't know the fire drive, whatever. Um, I can see where people talk about business as a game sometimes, and I'm starting to appreciate that perspective more and more. Where um, first of all, there's a way to do it that is not just 100% numbers based. Like you can still be human. At least that's my take on it. And as long as you are aligned with your values and you're, serving the people that you want to be served, whatever your business is, I think that's where there's not really a finish line. It's like that's sort of what I mean. It's like, well, I'm playing the game. It's like I don't know what the boss level or the next level. Like I don't really know what's to come. I just know that I'm enjoying playing the game and I'm going to keep playing it. Like I don't have any plans to retire, so to speak, because it's yeah, I guess in some way, I guess I would just call it's fun. Yeah, it's like a game.
Hmm. Well, keep playing the game until you're 100K a month. Fine.
Maybe, I mean, who knows? Maybe it'd be 1 million a month. That's what I mean. Like, there's no really boundaries or ceilings on it. It's just, yeah, I'm just gonna keep focusing on one step at a time and see how far it takes me.
That's beautiful, man. I think we will conclude this one here. It's really been a pleasure. I'm gonna switch off the recording. We can have a chat after this. But yeah, everybody watching, buy the thing. Ah, brilliant. Let me just